Breaking aviation news.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Vertical Aviation News Network. This is your captain speaking. Today's story is a update to the Jeju air crash that happened in South Korea. The preliminary report has been released as to what happened on that day when the aircraft crashed, and ultimately it was a total loss to the aircraft. And we also know that there's a problem because the air data and the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorders were not recording during the critical moments. So what we've learned from the preliminary report is that it is confirmed that the aircraft struck a flock of ducks in both engines. They did an engine analysis on both engines, and they found blood was found in both engines from these large ducks that the aircraft struck as they were landing. And it was also confirmed that the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder both simultaneously stopped recording 4 minutes prior to the crash itself, which indicates that the aircraft had a total aircraft power both in thrust and in electrical were both total loss once they struck those those ducks. Now, what's still in the investigation is trying to figure out why the landing gear was not deployed. Those should have been deployed, even though the aircraft had total aircraft power and electrical power loss. You can still deploy the landing gear in an emergency situation even without aircraft electrical power. So that is still under investigation of why the landing gear was not deployed, and they ultimately landing with no landing gear. Also under investigation is why that embankment was at the end of the runway that also made the crash even more catastrophic because the aircraft crashed into that embankment and that brick wall. That is also being investigated as well. They are doing they're continuing to do a engine analysis also to make sure that there wasn't anything else that could have been ingested into the engines. But it is confirmed that they found blood of the ducks in both engines, not just one engine. So that means they did have a bird strike in both engines, and resulted in loss of engines on both number 1 and number 2 engines. It was also confirmed in their last radio transmission to the tower that they did have bird strikes, and immediately after that, that's when they lost all communication. That's when the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder both stopped recording at the same time. Again, I stress that is from the only way that that's possible is total electrical failure in the aircraft, which is rare, but it does happen. Those devices are always going to record once the engines are past a certain percentage of thrust, as well as when the landing gear is up. What we call it the WOW switch, which stands for weight on wheels, which means that the aircraft is off the ground and then it's in what we call flight mode. Those two boxes are supposed to always be recording as long as the weight on wheels switch is not activated and the throttles are in a position with a certain amount of thrust applied. Those will be recording at all times, and they stopped simultaneously 4 minutes prior to the actual crash. So it's a lot of data, important data, that's missing in those 4 minutes that the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder were not recording, because then you can hear what's going on in the cockpit. You can see where they had the flight controls and what settings were there to know exactly what the pilots were doing and what they thought were going on. As more things come available to us, and as they continue to release the reports, of course, we will update and continue to give updates and let everyone know what's going on and what we have, what has been reported. And moving on to the aircraft of the week.
This is exactly what I've been waiting for. This is exactly, I don't mean to sound like Cat Williams, but this is exactly what I've been waiting for.
It is a 2000 Sikorsky S76C Plus, registration number November 30 Romeo Tango. It has 4,749 flight hours. It is being sold by Pylon Aviation, and they're asking $2 million. You can reach them at area code 602-661-7567. This has been your captain reporting. Thank you for tuning in to Vertical Aviation News. And as always, safe travels.